Hello everybody, Yoga for Change. I'm Michael. Today we have a longer 20-something minute morning practice that is a little bit more of a power morning practice, going straight into some sun salutations and from there into a short practice of some standing poses. We can start by just a few breaths, maybe 3 cycles of breath, breathing deeply in, lifting the arms up, and then sort of like in Tai Chi style, lowering the hands down just to ground yourself first. And then we're going to stay in a standing position with the arms stretched out to the sides for about 2 minutes. Try as much as possible to bend in the wrist so that the fingers are pointing up. And then notice how the shoulders are doing and how it feels, especially around the neck. If you feel that there's tension there, try to let go. It's more about reaching out. It's not so much about pulling anything up. Reaching out. And you can use the time to move and relax the jaw. You can use the time to move your face, wake up a little bit. Shift the weight forward and back from one side to another. Just a little wake-up practice. And then enjoy letting the arms slowly come all the way down. Come to the front of your mat, and we start with Sun Salutation A, and I'm going to do it in the way that I do it when it's really the first time that I go into it in the morning. So forward bend, inhaling, lengthening the spine. I keep my knees bent, and I take as many steps back as I feel like I need to since it's the first round. Plank position, I'm going to take the knees on the mat, make it easier. First round, Chaturanga with the knees on the mat. And instead of upward facing dog, I'm going to wake up and activate the muscles of the back with 3 repetitions of Cobra. Inhaling, rolling up, exhaling, rolling down. Now, downward facing dog. And again, it's the first downward facing dog. I'm not trying to make it the biggest, baddest downward dog ever. I'm even moving a little bit, wagging my tail. Use it in any way you want. You can focus on the grounding of the feet, the grounding of the hands, connection to the earth. You can focus on your breath, of course. Notice how the breath is. And you can move a little bit in it. And then as many steps as you need to come to the front. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, and exhale, forward bend, rounding the spine. If the knees need to be bent, keep them bent. And then lengthening the spine to come all the way up. Hands together, Urdhva Sthasana, exhale, Tadasana. Second round is going to look a little bit different already. Inhale, Urdhva Sthasana, exhale, forward bend, and then lengthening the spine. Now a big step back. Not 7 steps, but just 1. Full Chaturanga, if you're ready for that. Inhale, upward dog. Otherwise, you continue with the Cobra and back into downward facing dog. So make sure you make the choices that are appropriate for you. That means everything you know about yourself. That also means how you are specifically on this day that you are practicing. And this is about 5 breaths in downward facing dog. Inhaling, bending the knees, exhaling, nice little jump to the front. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhale, forward bend, rounding the spine. And then coming all the way up. Inhale, exhale, Tadasana. So already in the third round, inhale. Now I have the feet together. Another thing that makes it a little bit more challenging if you feel like you're ready for that. And then stepping back, Chaturanga, trying not to rush it, not to skip or shorten or rush or through anything. Downward facing dog again, something like 5 breaths. And try to keep the breath slow and soft. And now I also try to stay a little bit more in stillness. I'm still moving a little bit, but I'm not so much stepping or making any movements. I'm trying to stay still and breathe. For example, in downward dog, half forward bend, forward bend. Inhaling, coming all the way up. Exhale, Tadasana, and one more round of Sun Salutation A. Inhale, look up. Exhale, ground the hands. Lengthen the spine. I'm going to jump into Chaturanga. If you feel ready for that, do that. Otherwise, stepping back. Upward dog or cobra. And again, downward facing dog. So it's like doing what needs to be done and then staying and breathing. And make sure that it's not only that the arms and the shoulder push back in downward facing dog. The legs are also active and they help to pull back, pull the hips back. As you inhale, bend the knees and look to the front. And then as you exhale, make a little jump or step to the front. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward bend. Come all the way up. Inhale. Tadasana, let the arms come down. Moving into Sun Salutation B, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale. Again, jumping into Chaturanga, otherwise stepping into plank and then bending the elbows. Inhale, upward dog. Downward facing dog. Now, just because it's morning, I'm going to reach back. It's nice to reach. Foot between the hands. Warrior one, coming up, grounding both feet. And grounding the hands, stepping back, bending the elbows, everything with one exhalation. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. And the other side, reaching with the left leg, bringing the foot between the hands. Grounding both feet, coming up. And then one exhalation, hands on the ground, bending the elbows. Inhale, lifting the chest. Hips pulling back, exhale. Perhaps the breath now is a bit more intense or heavy or faster. With every cycle of breath, you get a chance to slow it down just a tiny little bit. Inhale, bend the knees, jump to the front, feet together. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward bend. Back into chair pose, bend the knees, lengthen the arms. Exhale, Tadasana. That was round number 1. We do 2 more rounds. Inhale, exhale, forward bend. Again, jumping into Chaturanga. Otherwise, you can step back and then bend the elbows. Again, as I inhale, I reach back with the right leg, take that foot between the hands, come up into warrior one, grounding both feet, and then grounding the hands, stepping back. Inhale and exhale, downward facing dog, reaching with the left leg, foot between the hands, coming up, a little bit of lifting the chest in warrior one, stepping back. If you notice that it's simply not enough and you need an extra breath, then just find a place that makes sense where you can introduce an extra breath. So in the third round, I do that in plank position, for example. You're going to see that. So don't stress yourself. Jump to the front, inhale, lengthen the spine, exhale, forward bend around the spine. Come all the way up, nope, chair pose. Exhale, Tadasana. So last round, forward bend, inhale, lengthen the spine, either plank or straight into chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, downward facing dog, reaching back with the right leg. And then setting up for warrior one, ground both feet, especially the back foot, and ground both hands. Exhale, inhale, upward dog, downward facing dog. So left side coming up, warrior one, left foot in the front, stepping the left foot back. Now here I have a little extra breath before I bend the elbows. If you need to do that, don't hesitate. Downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, there's always things to come back to. Make sure the neck has enough space. Think of lengthening the back of the neck, the whole area of the shoulder blades and between the shoulder blades, lengthening the back. If the knees are a little bit bent, that's fine. So I'm going to jump to the front as I exhale. First inhale, bend the knees, exhale, jump. Inhale, half forward bend, exhale, forward bend. Chair pose, bending the knees, lengthen the arms, and Tadasana, let the arms come down. Stay in Tadasana. Try not to fidget, not to move. Find stillness. Try to experience this sharp shift from moving into stillness. And we continue from here. Ground the right foot and lift the left leg. Try to fully stretch the standing leg as you lengthen the spine. You can hold the knee with both hands, but try to have the shoulders relaxed as much as possible. And you're going to go from here into warrior three, leaning forward, lengthening the left leg back. So the top of the head is pulling forward. Here you try to fully stretch the left leg, the one that's in the air. The left hip will always want to come a little bit higher than the right. Try to make a tiny little adjustment and sort of correct it. Coming into a high lunge, lift both arms. The right leg is still in the front, left leg is in the back. And now twisting to the right, open the arms. And take 2 or 3 breaths here. Every time you inhale, lengthen the spine. Every time you exhale, try to stretch the arms more, twist a little bit more. And now start leaning forward. As you lean forward, no rush, you can stretch the back leg slowly more and more and more. Lean a little bit more forward, and suddenly the floor is there. Ground the left hand, make any adjustment you need to make, and stay in this position for a few breaths. Now really reaching through the arms. Try to fully stretch the back leg. Now grounding the hands, lifting the pelvis up, bring the knee to the forehead, and just stay here for up to 3 breaths. Rounding the upper back. And then reaching back with the right leg. Bring the foot between the hands. And come again into a high lunge. Maybe you had to deal with some balancing there. And then open the arms, come into warrior two. And really go for that warrior two. Big step, big distance between the feet, pressing both feet into the ground. And now come into a side angle. So I have the right hand on the inside of the front ankle. And then I realize it would be even nicer if I had a block under the right hand. So I take a block. And I either reach up with the left arm up to the ceiling, or I reach with the left arm over the head. And then every time I exhale, I can roll the left ribs up to the ceiling. And now transforming this side angle into a triangle. So I just made the distance a bit shorter between the feet. Stretching now the front leg. Both legs are now stretched. And the spine is long now. And in my case, I can still have my right hand on the block, but it could be that you need to go a little bit higher maybe, and the right hand will be on the shin, for example. Coming up, and just take a step to the front and just bounce a little bit, dance a little bit, just a little bit of softness in between, and again, come to stillness. So we're going to start with the left side, grounding the left foot and holding the right leg with both hands. Standing leg as much as possible fully stretched and engaged. And that sort of travels up through the spine, that length. And then into Warrior 3, you can cheat sometimes, touch the ground, touch a wall. It's good to cheat. You're not using your full range of options if you're not cheating. It's also just fun. And then come into a high lunge. Lift the arms. So I have my left foot in the front, my right foot back, and I'm twisting to the left. And then inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist a bit more. Stretch those arms. And now starting to lean forward, slowly, slowly, slowly. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Where is the floor? Is it there? Look at the concentration. Oh my God. Finding the floor, looking up, and making any adjustment you need to make. If the step needs to be a bit bigger or the front foot needs to go a little bit more to the left. And now ground both hands. Again, the left knee goes to the forehead, lifting the pelvis, rounding the upper back. Just 3 breaths. And then reaching back with the left leg. Inhale, exhale, bring the foot between the hands. Again, high lunge. Make this one maybe a little bit bigger, this high lunge. And then open into Warrior 2. So really pressing those feet, pressing both feet into the ground. And I'm gonna also here shift into Parshva Konasana, left hand on the block if I feel like I need that. Either reaching up with the right arm or reaching over the head. And every time I exhale, I can roll the right ribs a little bit more up to the ceiling. Maybe even look up to the ceiling. But make sure that you allow the neck to stay long. Now shifting into Trikonasana, into triangle pose, making the distance just a little bit smaller between the feet so I can stretch the front leg, lengthen the spine a bit more than before. And what the arms are doing is almost similar to a side plank. The arms are really reaching out, active, long arms. So again, coming up out of your triangle pose, stepping to the front. Have your feet wide apart. Dance a little bit. Why not? And the feet can be wide apart, hip width, or even almost shoulder width apart. And after you danced a little bit, at least as good as I did now, lean forward and come into a flat back just for a moment, and then into a forward bend. And if you feel like you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. You can simply have the hands on the mat. Maybe that's not so simple for some people, but you can always use 2 blocks under the hands. You can also, if you are already there, you can also grab the toes. That's what I'm doing, grabbing the big toes in both feet, bending the elbows sort of outwards, and then reminding myself to relax the neck a little bit again. Now turning the feet a little bit out, not too much, to come into Malasana. So allowing the pelvis to come down, lifting the chest a little bit. The arms are between the legs, the hands are together. And from here we go into a short back bend practice. But before that, I'm just gonna roll slowly down, actually activating the abdomen, the core, before I start with back bends, which of course activates the back. Just to make sure that I have the support of the core, that I'm not completely passive there. So rolling slowly down, not all the way, but halfway and then all the way down. And I start with a supported shoulder bridge. So I take the block just under the pelvis, under the sacrum. And I still roll the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other, the upper arms outwards, so that I grab the mat. I always feel that that's a very good option. And of course, it's quite relaxed because I have the support from the block, but it is a back bend. And I can maybe pay attention to things like the feet, the position of the feet, the fact that they are parallel, the grounding of the feet, and also the grounding of the shoulders and upper arms. And now just to, again, activate it a little bit more, lifting the pelvis, taking the block away, intensifying a little bit this back bend. And coming down, I'm going to keep my feet wide up or even have them wider apart, knees together, and doing this fabulous thing with my hands and breathe. I love this position. You can also just do that and skip the back bends. Now I'm going to go into a wheel. Of course, you don't have to do that, but I just wanted to show. And so that once you go into the wheel, you try to shift the weight more onto the hands while stretching the arms. And you do that by stretching the legs. It doesn't mean that the legs necessarily need to be stretched, to be fully stretched, but the action is stretching the legs. That's what brings you more onto your hands. But always making sure that it's not too much, not for the lower back, not for the shoulders, not for the wrists, that you're still connected with your breath, and that there's no pain. So learning the difference between a feeling of intensity, which is okay, a compression, but that it doesn't go into anything painful. This is definitely not what you want or what we want. So after doing it once, now it's the second round. I'm trying to stretch a little bit more the legs, just to see if I can shift the weight more onto the hands. And then I realize, okay, I actually want to bend the knees a little bit. So make those small decisions in your own practice. So again, feet wide apart, knees together. It's simply a way of having a pose in between one back bend and the next, and a pose that doesn't really ask anything of the lower back. So something pretty neutral. And then a hand on the chest, the other hand on the belly. And from here you can either continue in your practice, you can go for an inversion. First I'm gonna just swing the legs from one side to another. So that's just a very gentle twist for the pelvis and lower back, a little massage for the feet and for the hip joints. For a very simple inversion, you can take a block under the sacrum, make sure it's really stable this time, and then lift the legs up. Find a way to bring the practice to wind down, bring it to an end. And you did it. So you're going to have a powerful day. Enjoy.